Alright, welcome back, folks. Game number 3 here in the round of 8. Again, reminding you all the winner of this goes on to fight against Tasia in the semifinals, as well as Parting versus Sox3 in the other semifinals. So at this point, with the 5 remaining players, Parting, Sox3, Tasia, and then one of these two, this is going to be just the sickest semifinals with an even better final. So strap yourselves in, guys. Make sure to stick it out to the very end. But spawning in the bottom left corner of the map, we of course have Invasion Esports Red Terran player Gumiho.
Never left us, the Blue Zerg. It's Revival.
Alright. I don't want to do it. I don't want to jinx him. But this is the map. This is the mech map. This is where we witnessed him taking on players like Life and Rogue and making them look easy with his mech. I mean, Gumiho, I don't know that there's a map where you can more easily obtain a 4th base, where you can more easily go for double armories and play that long mech game, but at the same time, while it didn't really work for him in game 1, I really liked Revival's opener. It was the follow-up, I think, that really failed him, but going for a lot of roaches early, putting on that pressure, delaying that third, I mean, none of that really killed Gumiho, but it did do a lot of direct damage to him. And maybe it was a choice for the Swarm Host instead of Mutalisks, or maybe it was the fact that the Mutalisks came too late, but there's a lot of ways I think he could have capitalized on that maybe he might try and implement here on Deadwing. But again, it comes back to the fact that Revival also knows this is a great defensive map for mech.
Yeah, I feel like the score really it's how it should look like, 1-1, but not in the games that each one won, you know? Like, I really thought Revival was going to win the first one, and I really thought Gumiho was going to win the second one. Didn't they? That's they both kind of ended up being a little bit weird. Revival had such a great opener in mid game in game number 1, and he could have just kept on building hatcheries but forgot to, so he lost. And then Gumiho doesn't wall off and doesn't build a command center in his base, and then he loses the second game. So okay, then what's gonna happen in the third game?
I'm still sitting here just like rubbing my temples as a Terran player who plays cheesy himself. Like, why would you not build the wall at the ramp? Like, for Gumiho's sake, it saves you a couple of minerals. I get that by building it here and then like going right back to mining, but in a situation where it's pretty do or die, you'd think he would take the safest way.
Yeah, that's not to say that he would have absolutely 100% survived even still, because he wouldn't have had a lot to defend at home with against a Baneling bust, but that it could have happened potentially, like less so than just letting him into the bag, whatever. Anyway, so let's just it just asks the question, like, what is gonna happen in this third game? Okay, like mech is probably the way it's gonna go. He has surprised us by going bio on Deadwing before, like a mind game on a mind game, but again, I'm gonna guess mech. It's a much easier mech map for Revival to deal with, or rather the spawn positions are easier. Inferno Pools, had it been cross spawns, Revival probably deals with the push a lot better, but it wasn't. But Deadwing is, of course, you can't get horizontal spawns, a lot better.
Well, a couple of Reapers with a third one on the way. I mean, everything he's doing is in clear view of the Overlord, and that's the problem. When you do go for Reaper openers, you don't really have a way to chase that off. So Revival gets to sit here, and he gets to confirm you're going for the reactor. He gets to confirm that you're going for Hellions, that there might be a starport behind this. So see this no second guess. I mean, way too much information from this Overlord, and it's sad to say that there's not really a lot of different than Gumiho could do. When you go for 3 Reapers, you kind of have to let this happen.
Yeah. If Revival could see the third CC, which he's probably guessing is down, right? Because, the no gas and the factory looks well-timed and whatnot. I would really like for him to go for an all-in. I know you're usually the one that's always calling, like, just put on the Baneling nest, just throw it on the Roach Warren.
Just be a dick, do it, it works.
Yeah, because it is almost guaranteed Gumiho would go mech, and, there's the safe opener with mech, which you would never want to Baneling bust into, where you get the second factory pretty early in a tank, and, don't do it then, but if they're going to be playing a little bit, oh, well, I'll hit you at, like, 20 minutes, and let's just be passive until then, it can be very surprising, but he's not going to go for it. Instead goes for the fast lair, which is also still a good build to do, fast mutas, but...
Yeah, I really like these 2 base builds. They've become a lot more common. I think for the longest time, we just saw 3 base Zerg openers. This greedy play becomes standard that it didn't really, like, even for me, who's cast enough of them, it really stopped ringing in my head, like, oh, this is kind of actually a bit greedy, and more like this was standard. And that's kind of the way the meta of the game shifted, but now we're getting back to these more aggressive Terran plays. It's forcing Zerg players to not really get that free third base, and instead go for, well, what we see is 2 base mutas. But Gumiho might be swapping it up here with Bio. Stim starts up. I wasn't sure if this was just for the wall off or not, but he is going to go Bio here on Deadwing.
All right. Well, this could be a very big surprise. Now, 2-base Muta is not bad at all against Bio. It used to be at a time. I don't know what it was. People not like using the mutas correctly, or you know, maybe they were too greedy behind the mutas, not getting any lings. But now it's kind of like an opener, like Mara's 2-axe opener. No, a little bit better than that. But like Impact is always the one that's showing us like you can get into a very strong macro game after 2-base layer. Was that only one Evo chamber? That was only one Evo chamber.
Well, keeping the Reapers alive from earlier is really nice. It's going to complement this attempt at a poke. He's not going to be able to get in here, sadly.
Why one Evo chamber? I guess just a wall, and I'll get the upgrades later.
Just to save money, obviously.
But
it's like taking away your credit card, you know? Without that second Evo chamber, he can't spend it on 2 upgrades. He won't spend frivolous gas he doesn't have, and
Oh, okay then. Okay.
No, it's weird because the logic is that it's for part of a wall. It didn't actually fully wall off, so I don't really know what the thought on that was. But revealed to be going Bio. Revival will scout that with the Overseer and back on out of the base.
Again, not a big deal, but he will probably have to change his thought process, right? Because up until he confirmed what it was, he was thinking, do I need that Roach Warren? Which is what he did on Infernal Pulse. But now he knows that he does not need it. He'll want to get a couple of lings just to poke and prod, and he has them. So he knows that he's going to have a bit of time, about another minute and a half, to be comfortable to drone. But then it's going to be a little tricky.
Well, just while we have a moment here, since I saw it asked a little bit earlier and we didn't get a chance to address it, the replay packs that Base Rate TV normally sends out, sadly does not include the OlimoLeague. One of the working deals with the tournament as well as the players is that we don't share their replays with subscribers. However, OlimoLeague knows that you guys, some of you want them really badly. You know, you're the biggest Gumiho fan in the world, or Tasia fan, or what have you. And those who are a certain tier on the Patreon page, I don't remember which, they actually get access to all the replays, even from the games we don't cast. So it's the only way to get replays from the OlimoLeague guys is by being Patreons on the Patreon page.
Yep. Revival did stop droning at a pretty appropriate time to get enough lings, and of course more from the banelings for this attack. They won't have speed. The Creep Spirit is okay for a first attack. But the medevacs are now on their way out. The upgrades are here. Revival still hasn't gotten that second Evo chamber. He still needs to drone a little bit more, to be honest, but needs to take care of this first.
Well, the banelings are definitely going to be able to take on a proper engagement, I think, with or without speed. You've just got so much creep spread here. There's no way Gumiho's not fighting on creep. But at the same time, with those mutas out, there's not really the option to drop, which is really scary for Gumiho. When you play Bio, no one really thinks about that ground moving, a move, 200 supply. They're always thinking about dropping the third, dropping the main, doing like these crazy moves, watching MMA do 7 things at once. But for Gumiho, he's just kind of consolidating this one big force. And while this is how you play mech, it's not necessarily the best way to play Bio. It's one way that does work when you've got those Widow Mines going down, you've got that momentum, you're rallying like 13 Marines at a time across the map, but that is so far off from happening. And I don't love the idea of letting Revival get away with whatever he needs. Revival's been a little bit tentative because he doesn't know whether Gumiho's coming with the attack, but I mean, Revival could have gotten away with a 4th a long time ago.
I'm starting to think that this only +1 is like on purpose. Like originally the Evo chamber could have been a wall, it was on purpose, but to go into the upgrades without a second upgrade, that's a little weird. Oh, that hurt. Oh my god, that hurt. But he's getting so many lings. He stopped at drones at 59. He's posturing in the middle of the map. He's gonna all in off of this. You know, he's gonna have mutas and he's gonna have an upgrade, but no 4th base, not a huge economy. And I think Gumiho has realized this. That's why he drew. He's like, the mutas aren't really like, it's almost like Phoenix is not picking up. You know, like the mutas aren't like harassing me. Like, what's going on?
I mean, the count is surprisingly low for what you would assume it would be.
So, investing back into him, of course. He needs to take care of these drops. This is another one. Maybe 2? Not quite 2.
It's, you know, it's so hard to weigh out the cost effectiveness of a drop. I mean, technically all you really have to worry about is replacing the medevac, not so much the Marines, and killing one Mutalist does cover that, but it's always so depressing losing 9 units for 1.
Oh, Gumiho actually pushes in. He still didn't go on to creep, though, but the Widow Mines weren't burrowed, so they just die.
They didn't get any shots off. The Marauders in the back being microed.
I would say that went really poorly for Revival. Like, Recall
It's these
Revival is missing
upgrades.
out on a lot of things that you usually have behind this.
It's these upgrades that are really looking quite strong for Gumiho. I mean, 2-2 over 1-0. It's not really affecting the Baneling War so much as it will the Mutalisk fights. And sadly, he's dog fighting right now as he doesn't really have that many Marines to work with. Really needs to consolidate what little he has. His production looks okay, but it's not enough to really keep pushing in the middle of the map like that.
Yeah, that second attack didn't go so well. Most of the Marines got hit with the Banelings, but he has this nice little nook. You know, the Marauders look like a lot of Banelings. Should Revival continue to attack? And he is. I mean, he's not gone back into droning or anything.
Yeah, it's weird to call it like this, but it is kind of this like 3 base all in, right? 59 drones, no continued upgrades, no 4th base. He's really trying to break Gumiho on this, and I like the idea behind this, but I just can't necessarily guarantee the execution is going to work.
Oh, thank God. I was like, just check with your Marauders.
Yeah.
Okay,
Marines, though, have to live so they can take care of the Mutalisks. It's really not so much about the Lings and the Banelings as it is just keeping the Marines alive to deal with the Mutalisks, because it's the Mutalisks that tend to spiral out of control. But again, there's no upgrades on them. There's no upgrades on anything in Revival's army. So I'm struggling to see this getting super out of hand, but it's starting to spiral. It's starting to go really badly for Gumiho, but his production should be able to hold. Now, it's awkward seeing the Marauders on the ground because they can't shoot up. They're just kind of like, well, what's up?
He does have 11 Marines coming out at a time, but they need to consolidate. If you had a missile turret, I mean, I think after this one, it'd be worth 100 minerals to put a missile turret into those barracks, but still a little panic. The Lings are flooding in. They're not turning into Banelings, which might be okay. Not a whole lot of them get through the direction. Never mind.
I liked where the Marauders were before. They were actually physically blocking out the Lynx from getting through. But now, Revival's just kind of chucking them into nothingness. Marines are finally starting to, well, never mind, I was going to say catch up, but maybe the Thor drive is back. Maybe it's the last couple of Marines. Either way, it looks like Gumiho's going to start pushing with the Marauders. I mean, don't get too overzealous. This is Marauders after all.
Yeah, and there's 7 more mutas. Like, Revival has noticed how few Marines there are. I thought the 4th Command Center was a misclick, but apparently not.
I don't know if that was meant to be a planetary or what the deal with that was, but a bit of an awkward CC. Okay. Maybe just the world's biggest bait. Either way, Gumiho's finally consolidated his forces, and he does have double the supply of his opponent. Revival's got no upgrades. He's got almost no Banelings to speak of. I really think Gumiho's going to take this, and we're going to have a TBT semifinals.
It looks that way. You know, what was really important was that he identified, you know, maybe he knew exactly what he was doing, or he just felt like something was a little off. And he stayed back at home for the majority of those attacks.
What do you think the problem is for Revival then? Over-dedicating, or the fact that he kept like dedicating off of creep? Like, which was more detrimental?
I don't really know. Probably fighting off of creep, but if your opponent doesn't basically take the bait of being like a normal TDZ, like let me go on a creep a little bit, then like what else are you supposed to do? Like I feel like that just didn't work out because Gumiho realized what was happening. But I don't know the story that much. So.
Well, Gumiho will take the series 2-1, and we will find out